Welcome to night school, everybody. And we're talking acting one with Miss Eliza Butterworth.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are, I guess, most notable for Aylesworth?
Lady Elsworth in The Last Kingdom, yes.
Queen.
The Queen.
GoodBadMad's Night School is our response to a few things which kind of recur in our creative community. Number one, which is the majority of people have survival jobs, don't have either the time or the expendable income to kind of expand their practice. Number two is that COVID has kind of discouraged a lot of new talent coming into the industry. And number three is that creative education can be bloody expensive. So we wanted to create something that allowed quality education with amazing people such as yourself that is available to all. So Eliza, tell us, how long have you been acting for?
So professionally, I've been acting for about 7 years, but I started really acting kind of late on. I was about 15 when I decided I really enjoyed acting. And then I was really lucky when I turned 18, I got into a drama school in London, which then helped me go through 3 years of training. And from 2014, I got The Last Kingdom in late November of that year. And I just turned 21. And I was playing Elsa, and just having that then just has given me the most incredible, experiences and, education in acting in its own right. So I've, about 7 years professionally, but 10 years all in all. Preparation is the most essential tool for any actor, and also for anyone in any profession. Preparation is always a brilliant thing. A lot of actors, we sort of self-sabotage in our minds. Yeah. And if you think that acting is such an emotional thing, you really have to connect to something, you really have to tap into it, you really have to get into the world of the character you're playing or the scenes you're doing. I feel like you've just got to give yourself all the security, the mental security possible, especially when it comes to theatre auditions for me, because usually you get a lot of monologues to learn, or you get a lot of scenes, a lot of sides, and it often feels as though you can kind of be curveballed at any time. So to have that wonderful preparation will only just keep you in the room, and also just makes you feel like you've done your best work when you leave. And then when it comes to television as well, you never know what the casting director will throw at you, or they'll go, okay, we like that, but try it in a completely different way. And you kind of think, uh-oh. And if all your brain is going is, I don't know the lines, then you're not going to give yourself any sort of, capacity to change your performance or enable yourself to tap into different things.
What's your process about learning your lines? Do you have like a specific technique?
For me, I like writing my lines out again and again and again. I, for some reason, like to recall the image of like me writing out the lines. Yeah, so it's something like that, like a visual learner. So if ever I feel like I'm in a scene with somebody, especially if it's an emotional scene where you're thinking and feeling a million different things on top of it, I like write the lines out about 50 times each line. Even when it comes to like big chunky paragraphs and monologues, I just take one line from the monologue, write it out again and again, then the next line, until like my brain has added them all up. And then not only that, I can physically see the writing. Like if I ever lose track, it's weird. Yeah. Everyone's got a million different ways. Some people like to listen to the lines. Some people even record them and go to sleep, and they like absorb the lines in their head. Or some actors like to have someone test them and they repeat the lines back, for about half an hour. I do that sometimes. All of that combined has helped me. Rejection, and I was speaking to Meg earlier actually about rejection and mistakes they're such negative words, but actually they hold so much power and space for change. And actually I now no longer see rejection as negativity, because I have been rejected by so many jobs, so many things, the kind of things that I thought something was wrong with me, and I would take everything really personally, and it's so hard not to. I will say, when I first started out, even just auditioning for drama schools, and I didn't get into certain places, I used to think, oh, I'm not talented, I'm not good enough actor, I don't know what I'm doing. But actually it had nothing to do with that, because going back to lesson number one, I did prepare. And I feel like if you get rejected from something, it doesn't actually mean there's anything wrong with you. There are a million other reasons why you as an actor didn't get that job. You know, it could be your age, it could be your accent, it could be like they just wanted somebody with blue eyes, you know, hair color. Like it can come down to the most specific and absurd, trivial things like that. The current actual job I'm working on, casting director of this particular project saw me for something years ago. He said to me, you know what, I loved what you did in the room. You weren't quite right, but one day I promise you there'll be something that I'll think of you for and I'll bring you in for it. This rolled around and he was like, yeah, awesome. Could you come in for this? I was like, yes. And so that altogether, from him remembering what I'd done in the past, even though I got rejected, it still brought me to this. So it's awesome. So rejection doesn't always have to be the most negative thing. As long as you prepare and you've done a good job for yourself, you can know that actually in the future it could come back and be a really, you know, positive thing. But don't ever let rejection make you feel lesser than what you are, because number one, don't take it personally, because there's a million other things as to why you didn't get it. Number two, you're bigger and more important and more fabulous and amazing than any of that stuff anyway. So to let it really ruin your day and ruin your sense of self is just not worth it. The idea of being open as an actor is such a huge statement. What, you know, what does that mean, be open? But for me, it hits loads of strands. So openness can be about, you know, opening your life up to the fact that the industry is such a strange industry. I mean, acting is crazy. From one week to the next, even, you don't know what you're going to be doing. Like for me, working in the bank on the phones one week, and then the next thing, oh, you've got an audition for a, you know, a big thing or a commercial, or you just never know what's going to come into your life. So openness in that sense is so important, because it just allows yourself that kind of, you know, freedom to see what's going to happen next, which is great. In whatever form of education you're getting your acting from, no matter if that's literally you're reading one acting book, that's amazing, whatever it is, or just watching TV shows, or even people watching, all of that is, I think it does require an openness, because I feel like you have to learn how to change yourself to adapt to whatever your new characters might need out of you. To go back to like The Last Kingdom, for instance, you know, Lady Ellsworth is a much older person than me, and in a few of the scenes throughout all these seasons, I had devastating things happen to my children or my husband, and these are things I, as Eliza, have never gone through. I'm just a kid from Lincolnshire, UK. So to have then to do these scenes where it requires all of these unbelievable emotions that I've never even necessarily felt for myself, I think that requires such an openness. I had a wonderful teacher at drama school. He used to say that when we were there, he was like, just make yourself a blank canvas. And one of the things they used to test us on to get into the school, we all had to prepare these wonderful Shakespeare monologues. And you know, you rehearse to a T. Went there, did exactly what I'd been doing, you know, in my living room for the last 3 weeks. And then they were like, cool, now do it this way. And they changed the whole thing. They were like, yeah, cool, you're doing it like ABC, but now do it like you're, you know, you're finding it hilarious. So now do it like you're, you know, you're so angry. And I remember thinking, what? Like, just there on the spot, they wanted something completely the opposite. And I was like, whoa, that requires such an openness. It's just something to focus on. It's not something that can come at a snap of a finger as well. Openness is such a broad term, but if it's something that you can put your mind to and be mindful of it, and if you sense yourself being bound and tight and not listening to the other actors, not listening to the directors, or being stubborn, I feel like you're only, again, doing yourself a disservice, because you're not opening yourself up to be available to what could be brand new techniques that could only enhance your performance abilities as an actor. To explore your characters is such a huge term, but it's all about getting to know them. So for me, I love writing down like little mind maps. So I'll put my character's name, and then from the text, let's say it's a television script, I'll read all the scripts that's given to me, and anything that my character says, I will write it all down, all the things that they say, or, you know, obviously maybe make it a bit shorter, or say what they do in scenes and how they come across. And from there, I can kind of derive what this character's all about. And then I start making things up just to help me define that person better. And I and I make it up from all kinds of things, from like the historical period of time. So for instance, Lady Ellsworth in the Last Kingdom, you know, she's from a specific era of time, and people behaved differently back then. Women were seen differently back then. You know, she's in a powerful position. She's in a royal family. She has duties. She's very religious. So there are all these things that I could derive from that particular period of time, but also from what I could see in the text. And then, as I said, then I'd see her maternal instincts, and I'd be able to make up how she feels about her children, and but how does she feel about this character, and then all of a sudden it would branch off into all kinds of things. So it would start with her as a core person, then I'd go into more of her identity, where she grew up, what her family could have been like, and you know, sometimes that stuff is already said in the text, sometimes that work's done for you, and other times that's for you to, you know, create yourself, just in order to help you get a more detailed backstory. Some people find animals really helpful as to define their character, because an animal immediately is a description of something, a description of characteristics, and a description of feelings. So, you know, if a director, and that's happened to me before, you know, let's say you're playing like Ellsworth, for instance, there's so many scenes where she's so conniving and malicious sometimes. And there's this idea of like, well, she's being a snake right now. She's being duplicitous right now. So I'm not going to play it warm. I'm going to play it like a snake. I'm going to go very cold. I'm going to be slimy. I'm going to be untrustworthy. And that immediately puts your head as an actor straight into the mindset of that person. So it's like a go-to super easy way of connecting with that person's characteristics.
How do you get into Lady Ellsworth?
There's a sourness, especially in the first 3 seasons, where she is a lot more serious and dour and pious. There's such a seriousness that I don't naturally have. I'm usually really silly. So like going from like whoa, into just like, okay, I have to be really still, and I would like hold my hands together and really just drop any sense of joy. It was almost like, and I used to say this to some of my friends on set, it was like I had a sword of ice. I know this sounds really weird. Again, this is very visual, very imaginative. I'd imagine a sword of ice going like down my body, through my heart, making my heart very, very cold, down into the pit of my stomach, making my stomach really cold. And I'd just stand there, just envisioning this like sword of ice going through me until it, you know, reached my toes, and that I just felt really cold, you know. And then, you know, getting into the voice was really helpful. Her voice is a sort of a lot lower. I sort of speak like this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you have a sort of more RP posh accent. So there's that regality that comes from the voice that would immediately make me feel more grounded. And her age as well. She's so much older than me. So having that power and the gravitas and the intelligence and the ferocity all came from this sense of weightedness. So all of those combined gave me a physical difference. I felt like different physical sensations, but that idea of turning cold helped me in those kinds of scenes where I knew I had to do something callous, or I knew she was going to do something fierce.
So everyone, now is your chance to drop your questions in. Go, go, go.
Yes.
Okay. Shine on Diamond asks, how would someone get started from square one? My passion and open mind are there, but I need advice on how or where to get started.
Amazing. So I think it all depends on your age, and it all depends on what kind of career you're looking for as an actor. I feel like if you want to start in theatre, if you have a passion for theatre and it is something you'd be interested in doing, I would suggest auditioning for drama schools. And you don't even have to do one of these like 3-year bachelor's degrees. There are like summer courses in drama schools, and even through the summer courses you can sometimes, you know, find agents, and you can find representation, things like that. And there are a lot of like workshops if you're looking for like more tuition and education. Otherwise, if you feel like I've done all the workshops, I've done all the education, I've done the tuition, I just need to get auditions, then I'd say try to seek representation. So depending on what country you live in, what agents are around that either support you as a theatre actor or a TV actor or both. You have to have headshots. You've got to make a CV. So it's just about sending that off as well. There are some websites which hold like all these amazing auditions on it basically. And it could be for anything from commercials to short films to plays that are touring. There are so many amazing opportunities out there, and you don't always have to have an agent in order to find them and in order to go up for them. So I'd say get yourself on some of those websites so you can start auditioning and start actually doing projects and, you know, getting into the world of it.
Bonnie asks, what piece of advice were you given that has been most helpful?
Our wonderful teacher, John, he's called John Skitzer. He was fantastic. He would, from Stanislavski, always tell us to play our action, which is a phrase that basically has to do with everything that we do in life is an action. Even if I'm by myself, I could be playing an action to make myself a cup of tea in order to comfort myself. You know, that's an action. But in terms of like in a play or in a TV show or in a movie, all the lines that are said are in order to affect somebody else. So it could be to threaten or to make, you know, uneasy, or there are a million things. So our acting teacher, whenever we got a bit like self-absorbed, or we were trying to just be funny for the sake of being funny, or just to, he'd be like, no, play your action. And you'd go, and you'd have to think about it. And I'd have to think, oh, damn, what is the action on this line? I'm not just saying it. There's always a meaning to why you say something, and there's a reason for it. And I know this all sounds a bit, but there is such a rule to it, and that would help me stay on the straight and narrow, I guess. The same acting teacher used to say to us, there's more than just acting. He was like, be interested in other things. He'd be like, don't just, you know, people eat, sleep and dream acting, which is stunning, which is amazing, which means you've got passion for it, which means you care, and it's gorgeous, and you should never take that away from yourself. But adding to that, there's still more in the world. Having interests in other things, whether it be sports or music or art or anything, traveling, reading, cooking, it just only makes you more, multidimensional when it comes to your acting, I feel like.
Well, there we go, everybody. That is our very first night school with Eliza Butterworth teaching acting 101.
Thank you so much for everyone who's been watching, and for all your stunning comments and all your love. Honestly, I appreciate it beyond belief, like more than you can ever imagine. And for a lot of the Last Kingdom fans who are there, I hope you have a wonderful time watching season 5 tomorrow. And yeah, just hope you enjoy it. We love you so much. Thank you. And Meg, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. Such an honor.
My pleasure. Enjoy the launch tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of Tenerife.
Thank you so much.
I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, everyone.